Hey guys, for those that don't know, I am Tom Davidson with Pastime Tournaments in Mid-America Baseball. Wanted to do maybe a little something different today. We've been doing a lot of content release on social side and the YouTube channel just from current, former, future baseball people, whether it's tech pieces or former pro guys or college coaches currently still coaching. We have those videos out, 25, 30 minutes long for each of those. So we're just doing those to kind of pass the time until we know whether we're playing this summer or not. With that in mind, I know we usually do these Monday emails leading up to that May 1. That's probably going to be the biggest one. We continue to get updates from state, local authorities as well as facilities. Wanted to answer some of the emails that I've been getting regularly from you guys. A lot of that has to do with whether are we going to be playing or not. Obviously, I would love to answer that right away. I just don't. We don't have all the information in place from these guys to know for sure what's going on. I can tell you some of the trends that we are seeing as soon as these universities release their summer school programs and once they go online only, they have started to cancel athletic use of the facilities during the summer. So a lot of our events, though we are not canceling those events, may have changes in facilities and venues that have never been on our board before, whether it's a new minor league park or a new venue here and there, and maybe the absence of some of the college venues that we've historically used every weekend. We're gathering all that information now as we get communication from those universities specifically. We'll start to release kind of a handful of those that we know for sure, hey, we don't have these guys anymore until this date. Essentially those universities are doing this as precautionary measures, safety of their teachers and student body, things like that. They obviously have a priority to get kids back in school for the fall. So again, we won't cancel those events. We may have other fields that we're using. We may lose some of the feature field opportunities that we've always done. I think with that may come some change in direction from teams, and it probably result from multiple things on finance side of transferring from, if you were going to go to Indianapolis and you're from Cincinnati, staying in Cincinnati when we have a Xavier event on the same weekend as opposed to come to Indianapolis or going to Michigan or something like that. We understand those pieces that'll come up as we move forward. Again, we just don't have enough information yet to know what the exact start date's going to be, if we're going to be able to play Memorial Day weekend, if it's May 28, if it's June 4, if it's June 11. Once we get that stuff, I'll certainly share it in these emails as I always do. And then a lot of the other questions are, kind of what our expectations are for the summer. For us, we have a very big concern with the safety of pitchers right away. So you may see a change in the format of some of our events, those early timeframes, if we're able to get back on the field. If it's dictated that we can start in late May, the events in late May and early June will probably be different, so we can not throw pitchers out there full steam right away and start seeing injuries by the time the end of the summer does come around. So be aware of that and understand that that's probably coming, whether it's us as a tournament host or not. But we need to protect these guys as much as we can while letting them get on the field and play, get reacclimated with the game and throwing and things of that nature. Some of the other expectations, we're not 100% certain, obviously, if we're starting in late May, early June. So we have started to add event dates and locations for the end of July and the first couple of weeks of August. I think that's important to give teams the opportunity to transfer later in the summer, transfer the registrations if we do lose a late May or even into early June, mid-June. So a lot of those locations are the locations that we always have, the Butlers, the Xaviers, places like that. So most of those are up now. We are already starting to post some of our 2020 fall stuff for September, October. We are also about 50% reconfirmed for 2021 summer with a lot of our venues. We will probably have our 2021 schedule out months before we typically would release that. We usually wouldn't release that till August 1. We will probably have 90 to 100% of our 2021 summer schedule out by June 1 of this year at the latest. I think it's important that we do that. Obviously, from a transfer side, if we do lose some of the summer, majority of summer, all the summer, obviously we just don't know yet, that we have options available for teams to transfer to future events, whether it's the fall or summer of next year. On that point, everybody knows that our policies are posted online. We've never been a refund company. It's always been a transfer basis only. We understand that, and as I've said in those emails on Mondays, this is an extremely unique situation, which is why I think there's a lot of transferring between events and city to city based on where you're from that will take place. But we need to have some sort of opportunity for those guys from a refund standpoint. So we're working on that now to try to finalize those numbers. Ultimately, the more teams to pay, the higher percentage of value on the refunds we can do. It's just a math equation at that point. And if we have 100% of teams pay, I mean, we'll have a much larger percentage value of what was paid for the registration fees that can go towards refunds. As you guys know, probably 60% of our expenses come before the summer even starts. They're all done now. Leading up to this point, like baseballs were done in December. That's a huge chunk of money that we have, and then staffing and all that stuff leading up to the summer, which is no longer an issue now, but those things are expenses that can't be avoided and can't be returned, unfortunately. So what we want to do is try to create the best situation for every team involved, every organization involved. You guys are what make these events run. So we will, for teams that are paid by May 1, there will be special incentives, whether it's for this year or next year, that you guys can specifically take advantage of, because we feel like you did your part. You helped out the greater majority of the teams that are in our events. And on the Great Lakes Midwest side, most teams have paid, which is great. The Great Plains region and the South, West and West Coast, it's a different registration period. A lot of the teams in that area wait a little longer to register and pay. Unfortunately, that hurts a lot of the teams that have already paid and committed to attend these events, in the sense that on May 1, registration fees unpaid to that point will typically increase $50, $75, $100. That generally takes place April 1. We pushed it back to May 1 this year because we have a lot of teams that are still paying. Some of those benefits we're discussing with a lot of programs internally that come to a lot of our events, and it's whether, an event that was $900 this year is, $1,000 next year. And if you paid by May 1 this year and you want to go to that event next year, you're going to get it for this year's price instead of next year's price. So we're kind of working out those details right now with, probably 60 or 70 coaches involved in that aspect of it that we've known for years, and want to get everybody else's input. Again, we've always thought of Pastime tournaments in Mid-America as your guys' tournament host, not an us versus you guys kind of situation. From this is our program, we'll do whatever we want. All of our tournament rules were essentially created over the years by teams in our events and based on the feedback that we get from you guys. So again, it's not something that we are saying, hey, this is what you wanted, this is what's going to happen, and take it or leave it. We want everything we do here to be based on information that you guys provide to us and how you want things to take place, whether that's formats of events, length of events, nationals, things like that. We take feedback from you guys every single year on what we want to change and what we want to add. And then we implement those based on that feedback that we get from you guys. So I think as we move forward, that May 1 email is probably going to be the most informative one we have to date, obviously. I think there's some information coming out from state and local authorities that they're, obviously going to try to open up the doors a little bit to get things rolling again. Youth sports has been a huge topic with the CDC and some of the lobbyists that are going to bat for us with getting everybody back on the field. This year is really important from our standpoint for the seniors that lost, their high school season. We want to try to give them, that one last chance to play baseball. I can't imagine what, those guys are going through, but if we can get, even if it's just 4 weeks during the summer and we can help those guys out, that's huge. From the facility standpoint, that we're going to use venues that maybe we haven't used before. We're working with a lot of those minor league stadiums. The Chicago area is great because we have the Frontier League in this region. So there's a lot of venues that we'll probably pick up that are a part of that league. Again, I think there's going to be an influx and transfers from event to event to save money on hotels. Again, we completely understand that. And then we have our posted policies on that. Generally, there's a fee to transfer to do those. We have to alter course a little bit on that stuff and eliminate some of those because it's just a different situation. We understand that, it's not even something that's been requested by teams, but we have to kind of be at the forefront of that and understand, everybody's been put in a tough situation, from the parents to the coaches. Traveling, budgets are different. We get that. We understand. So we're putting those pieces together to try to give you guys some information on May 1. We are not going to come out and say, here's option A, and this is the only thing that you're getting, take it or leave it, deal with it. That's not how we work. That's not what we want to put out there for people to see and do and have to handle. I will piece together option A, option B, maybe even an option C. And everybody's situation is so different that, we may even go option 1A, 1B, option B1, B2, B3. We have to be able to have some flexibility this year. And again, we'll kind of piece that together based on a lot of the discussions that we're having internally with teams in our events and with the organizations. And once we have that, I'll put it out. Hopefully May 1, we'll have a significant increase in clarity for the summer. Understand that we are talking with universities and facilities. Officials are a problem as well. Facility availability is a big deal. So there's so many moving pieces and it changes day by day. Once we have that information, we'll pass it along. Again, we have all this information out there. We've got, these videos that we're doing. So it's a little bit different, but if you guys have questions, continue to email us, text, call, that's fine. We're here for you. Just want to kind of emphasize, I do get a lot of calls during the day and emails on, should I pay or shouldn't I pay? We understand the position everybody has on whether they pay or not. Paying helps everybody. I'm going to be completely honest with you. The more teams that do submit payment, the larger percentage of refunds we can do for those that do want a refund and need one. We know there's a lot of 18U programs that this is their last year. They're not back next year. They're not a part of, a program that has 9 to 18-year-olds every year and they can just pass a credit throughout the program. We get that. Those parents, want some of that money back. We understand that. And that's why we're kind of opening the door to that refund option if we can get there. But yeah, the teams that we certainly appreciate, and I want to, voice that to you guys. We appreciate the teams that did pay on time and are continuing to pay. And we want to make that up to you, whether you're coming back next year or not as a program. The teams that did pay by May 1 will have additional incentives next year when you're making your schedule for us, or this fall where you can take advantage of discounts, or this year's price versus next year, or if you had a feature field game this year at, University of Michigan or Notre Dame or something like that, and maybe we lose that facility, we're going to keep that information. And you say, hey, I'm going to go back to that place next year. Before we release how many teams get those feature field game slots for those events next year, you will be slotted in to get those as long as other teams haven't already filled that up that got it this year. So again, a lot of those options that we're trying to figure out right now to get in place for that May 1 email. Keep an eye out for that. Let us know if you have any questions via email, text, phone call, and we'll be here to answer those for you guys as we move forward. Until then, let us know what we do. Thanks.